Okay, here we go, guys. We're playing 720p low settings with a 39DX at stock and a Ryzen7 1700X at stock clocks. I've got 3200 megahertz RAM running in XMP, aka DOCP, to support the CPU, and I assigned only the 8 true cores to the program in the task manager, because that boosts performance as tests without SMT indicated. So keep that in mind. Sadly I forgot to turn off VSync, so I've got to do that as soon as I can get in game. So pick that, squad, and spawn in this tank. And now let me turn that off. Oops. Save, okay. Alright. Let's get that in-game overlay. A little bit big, but now you can read it at least. So we are capped at 200 FPS, that's the game engine stock limit. I didn't tweak that, but shouldn't care about that anyways. So let's get in game, and well, this map is ideal to check out the FPS because it's one of the maps that are not so demanding on the GPU, because like you got always that big skybox in the frame, because it's on the hillside here. Yeah, you can see that on the GPU utilization. Next to the GPU1 temperature, that's the GPU utilization, and you can see that jumping all over. Also, the GPU doesn't have to boost to the full 1080 megahertz stock boost. So that's a good indication for no GPU bottleneck. Alright. Keep in mind we're at 720p at the moment, and this is filmed with AMD ReLive. You can see that on the top left corner. So that taxes the GPU video encoder a little. I hope that this won't impact us too much, even if it's only impacting us much on the GPU side, not on the CPU side. Keep in mind that the game is attached to only 8 true cores out of 16 threads. That's why the CPU load, that we saw it can only like get up to 50%, not 100. Even though this seems to be limiting, actually it's gaining performance because of that. Battlefield 1 seems to push load on hyper-threaded cores, which aren't as powerful as normal cores. The normal cores tend to have to wait for the hyper-threaded cores, which harms performance. And that's why I disabled that. I could have also disabled that in my BIOS. I've got an option on the Crosshair 6.0 to disable SMT, but I want the other programs that run on the computer to be able to utilize them. So now let's turn up the settings to medium, check out. I mean, nobody's playing at 720p low. And since we had GPU headroom, it shouldn't be too much of an impact, as we can tell from looking at the frame rates. So I'd say 120 is the target, and we are above that right now. Yeah, we're reaching like the 144 terrain here, though dropping below often. Looking at GPU utilization, we are CPU bottlenecked most of the time, but also GPU bottlenecked sometimes. You can speak of a GPU bottleneck when the utilization is at 99% and the boost is nearing 1080 MHz. GPU 2 is disabled because Crossfire actually harms performance at the moment in Battlefield. So big waste there, and enabling that wouldn't help our analysis. So I just turned that off to get straightforward results. Okay, so let's change settings again to high to increase GPU load. And some settings in this game also increase the load for the CPU, so be aware of that. Not only GPU is taxed in this game when you crank up the settings. Sadly, I'm lacking in-game sound here, but I hope you can survive that. Alright. Let's try again. Let's try after that we switch to 1080p, because I think most high refresh frequency monitors are 1080p nowadays, so that would be the most interesting result. By the way, this audio is captured on the sound chip that's on board on the Crosshair 6 Hero M4. I'm quite happily surprised that it's that good. So I thought I could go hard and take this voice over kind of thing and record it from there, because it's got that superior quality. Okay. Can't read on which hertz basis this is. Turn that off. And there we go. Let's get this applied. And whoosh. The ReLive capture actually could handle that, quite surprisingly. And now we are a little bit sharper, and the CPU load actually decreased. As you can tell, we are now in the 30s of CPU utilization, while the GPU is kind of maxed out most of the time. You can see little dips there. So those are times where we are CPU limited, 1080p. Let's try medium settings to get back to the CPU bottleneck. Not quite 144. But over 120 FPS. So yeah, I guess this is a realistic scenario now. Although you could push the CPU with an overclock. My 1700X overclocks to 4 GHz, and that's 8 times 4 GHz with SMT enabled. With SMT disabled, I can reach 4.1, and that benefits this game especially. Because if you have 8 cores, as I explained earlier, the game actually, or let's say 8 threads, only 8 threads to the game, the performance actually increases. And if those 8 threads are true cores and not 4 true cores and 4 hyperthreaded ones, you also gain performance. So yeah, keep that in mind. You can squeeze out more performance out of the CPU if you wish. And as far as I can tell, you don't need a Crosshair Hero 6 mainboard for that. Because these Ryzen CPUs are so power efficient and need that little voltage that nearly any B350 board can do it too. Which is good news. Alright, I'll say thanks for watching and see you next time.